Hi, I'm MP Nellie Shin from Port Moody Coquitlam, and I'm here with Randall Wong, the Honorable Justice Randall Wong, the first Chinese Canadian Supreme Court judge.
I think much of it stems from the fact that my years of public service, because before I became a judge, I was with the Public Prosecution Service as Crown Counsel. I was the first Chinese Canadian Provincial Crown Counsel, Department of Justice in '67. And then I was invited to join the federal Department of Justice. And then again, I was the first Chinese Canadian to join the Federal Department of Justice. So before I became a judge, I was a Crown prosecutor for the province of British Columbia and also for the Federal Department of Justice. Then I was selected at the age of 29 to become the chief Crown attorney in the Yukon. When I came back to Vancouver, I was going to rejoin the Federal Department of Justice. I was then asked to fill in part-time in Ottawa for a senior lawyer in the criminal law section in Ottawa. However, I also received a call at that time from the BC provincial government. There was the Attorney General, Alec MacDonald, who asked me if I would take in appointment as a provincial court judge in British Columbia, and thus I accepted. And as a result, I was assigned to the Vancouver Criminal Court, which I served for 7 years. And then in 1981, I was asked if I would take a federal appointment. Shortly after that, I was appointed to the Superior Court of British Columbia. Therefore, I was a member of the federal judiciary. I served under the federal judiciary for the next 35 years. And when I put in my time when I reached the mandatory age of retirement in 2016, I was then the longest serving judge in the history of British Columbia. I was also the last pre-charter rights judge to retire from the Supreme Court of British Columbia. As a result, my colleagues and the lawyers gave me the nickname of Judicial Dinosaur. When I graduated from law school in 1966, this was the height, of course, of the civil rights movement in the United States, and also Canada followed suit. The climate was right for that time in the civil rights movement, and also, of course, the Asians in Canada obtained the right to vote in 1947. And as a result of that, Chinese were then, as with all Asians, were then eligible to enter self-regulated professions, because prior to that, if you did not have the right to vote, you were not eligible to enter those professions. But I think basically the reason why I was selected is because they were looking for diversity even back in the 1970s. I was one of the very few that had any litigation experience. Most of the Asians who qualified as lawyers had a tendency to do their articles, that is, their training, in around Chinatown, and tended to practice in the Chinatown area. I was fortunate to obtain my articles in one of the larger Vancouver firms downtown, and I was influenced by my mentors to become a litigator, which I never intended to. Because I was a litigator and I was also known as the first basically Asian Crown Counsel, that's how I was recommended for a judicial appointment. One is aware of the responsibility because you are sort of the forerunner. And if you do well, it bodes well for other Asians coming along. And of course, if you don't develop a good reputation in your work, it will affect the future of others coming down the pike. So one is conscious of that if you are the first and being the first of a visible minority group. One of my mentors also, and an old family friend, was the late Douglas Jung, MP, who was the first Asian member of parliament starting in 1957. He was a good mentor. He guided a lot of the young lawyers who followed him. When I was appointed as a Superior Court judge in 1981, Douglas Jung was then in private practice, and normally the speakers who welcome the judge at his swearing in ceremony, it's a big public ceremony, are usually members of the Law Society, that is, the senior board members. Douglas Jung, because of the significance that I was the first Chinese Canadian appointed to the federal bench, asked the then Chief Justice McEachern, if he could say something. Chief Justice McEachern, realizing the significance of Douglas Jung being for the first Chinese MP, of course, agreed that he should speak. So he spoke on behalf of the Chinese community about how pleased they were to have our first Chinese Canadian Superior Court judge appointed in Canada. Asians, the tradition is you do the best you can. It's a matter of cultural and family honor. Do your best, and you will likely succeed and stand out. And I think that's quite true. To also pursue public service in the community, either running for elective office, participating in volunteering society, doing legal aid work, and as such. This was approximately about 30 years ago that I first voiced that message. And I'm pleased to say that since that time, we've had so many Asians, particularly of Chinese Canadian heritage, who have sought elective office. And of course, you are one of the examples. Some of them have also become mayors in British Columbia. Alan Lowe was the mayor of Victoria. Peter Wing was the first Chinese Canadian to become mayor of Kamloops. The late Bob Lee became chancellor of the University of British Columbia, and the late Milton Wong was chancellor of Simon Fraser University. Ronnie Lu Poi was the chancellor of University of Victoria. Then, of course, we had David Lam, who became lieutenant governor of this province.
Between you and the late Douglas Jung and the pioneering you did, many of us today, like myself, owe our gratitude and honor and respect to the work that you did before us. As you were talking about how there's a great responsibility to set a good example for those who would follow, you obviously both did excellent example, and I know there's a great deal of respect that not only politicians and professionals in the legal field, not just of Asian descent, but many have deep respect for you and the memory of Douglas Jung.